Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I've had quite a bit of interest in the uplights that I've used in the pit house. I made them myself out of old fence posts and 12 volt and LED strips. And you can see one above my head. And they're dead simple to make. And I thought I would do a little short video on how I make them because I need to make another for the roundhouse. So I'll let you have a good look at them installed, and then we'll go into the workshop and make them properly. Okay. So there it is switched on. It's just hung by chains. If I move away a bit, you can see the effect, and it's a lovely light, and because it's an uplight it's not harsh or direct. And in the pit house here there's two of them. I'll turn round, and then there's another one near the door, and they just work really well, and they're powered with solar panel on the outside, and they're switched here with Odin's head, so you can see there's I don't know if you can see, but there's a 12 volt battery in there and a charge controller, and then the switch, you just do that. Okay, so the first things first is we've got to cut the fence post to length. Now I wanted it 3 foot long, this light, so get my tape measure. I don't normally work in metric, but 3 foot is about 915 millimetres. Got my saw. You don't want to watch me doing all this, so I'll pause it for a minute. Okay, welcome back. So what I've got now is a length of fence post, 3 foot long, and what I want to do now is just by eye mark the centre. And then I think we want it about 2 inches in on each end. It's about 50 millimetres, and then draw a line to follow right down the centre. And what we're going to do is route out a groove for the LED strip light to sit into. So the groove's only going to be about 10 millimetres deep, so not too deep, and the fence post is sort of oval, so I've got it on the wide side, if that makes any sense. Okay, I'm going to use my router, but you could just use hammer and chisel for this. Because the fence post is quite damp, there's no real dust, so I didn't feel as though I needed a face mask, because it's just... Right, so we've got a nice groove on one side of the fence post, and the bottom is, it's done a nice job, it's quite smooth. So next I'm going to put some holes for the chain. I was thinking for ages what was the best way of attaching chains. I was thinking of screws and washers and all that sort of thing. Then I just thought, we'll just drill a big enough hole right through, and the chain that it hangs on can loop right through. So we'll do that next. Right, so I'm going to mark the position for the holes, and then so I'm going to do them 2 inches in, and that way the end of the wire that will come out from the end here can sort of loop into the chain and go upwards. Again, we're only guesstimating. This is a rustic looking lamp, uplighter, so there's no need to be really precise or anything. Okay, that's just come through the other side. Now we turn it over, and then you don't get the splinters of the breakout with the drill. And I can use the, it's slightly flat there where I've routed the groove, so that sits nicely in the vise, and then you know you're sort of at 90 degrees. So that's the chain will just feed straight through there. And now I'll just do the other side. Okay, so from the internet I bought this warm light LED strip, but it comes with a plug on the end. Now I don't have anything that will plug into that, although I wish I did because it's really neatly put on. So what I'm going to do is cut this wire, bare back the inner wires, and then put on normal contacts, spade connectors that you would use just on a car. So we'll just put that plug off. And then with a really sharp knife, very carefully, take off the outer and then we've got the two inner wires, so we should have a black and a red. You just see though, oh, we can't focus that closely, but we've got a black and a red there. So I'll just bear those back enough that we can work with them. As you can tell, I'm not an electrician, but working with 12 volts, you're not too bad. Now what we've got here is a cheap electrical wire cutter terminal squeezer. So it's got a wire stripper at this end. So we want to bare a bit of the copper. So that'll make an electrical contact with the and these wires are really thin, so we're on the this has got different size grades for different wires, and we're right on the smallest one. So then we twist up the wire so it doesn't fray. Excuse me. And then we get our spade connectors. We've got a male and a female. So it's up to you. Now this is sheathed, so I'm going to put the female end on the red, and then you just squeeze that with your pliers, which squashes the connector, and then it grips the wire, and hopefully you've got a good contact in there. It's a bit difficult with really tiny thin wires, but this one's better because you can see when the copper wires come out the other side. I'll give that a good squeeze. I like to sort of overdo it a bit, but there we are. Now then, this strip is just going to lay down inside the groove that we've made. And these strips are awesome. They come with marks on them that tell you exactly where to cut. They've got pictures of scissors. So we want to go end to end, and then I've got the mark there with the pictures of scissors, and that's where you can cut it to the length you want. So we just cut that off, like that. And then these things are self-adhesive. They've got a self-adhesive backing, but I found it sort of sticks to the wood, but it needs a bit of help. So I've got a hot glue gun, and what I'm going to do is put 3 or 4 blobs of hot glue, lay it in, and then blob over the ends so they're really captive. Now, because it's hanging this way up, it's an uplighter, gravity's holding the strip in anyway, but just, especially at the ends, when that comes out, it needs to be a bit stronger. Okay. Say okay every time. Peel off the self-adhesive backing. Which is rubbish. And then we'll put that down because it'll get all dusty. We'll put some blobs in there. There we go. Stuck really well. It definitely needs the hot glue. That's all I can say. And then the ends, I'm just going to cover that over with a bit of glue. And then this end is going to get extra, because that's the one you're going to be messing about with wiring it up. Now the hot glue is fine because the LEDs don't get really hot, so they're not likely to remelt the hot glue, if that makes any sense. Okay, so I bought some thin chain from the builders merchants, and what we're going to do, I fed it through the hole, and then just sort of, I think it's got to just sit nicely and be a decent length. So I think that one, there is the one I'm going to cut. Now I'm going to cut it with bolt crops, but you could cut this chain in a vise, just with junior hacksaw or anything like that. So let's just cut that. Oh, there it is. Let's just cut that link through. Now, these links are welded together. So what I've done is cut through the weld, because I'm going to bend the link so it makes a joiner to go back in a loop with the other one. You'll see in a minute. Hang on. The bolt crops haven't quite got all the way through, so I've got some wire cutters here. It works earlier. I shall do it again at a different angle. Bolt crops don't just quite meet with the jaws. I think they're getting a bit old. And this chain, although it's thin, there we go. So that's cut now. And then with 2 pairs of pliers, separate the link enough to get that out, and then push that through the hole, back into the link that we've broken, and then push them back together. So it's a continuous chain again, and that could be hidden in there, and that'll hang up really nicely. Now the important thing is to do the chain on the other side, which I'll probably take this out now, exactly the same length. So I'll take that out and then do the chain on the other side, and then it'll hang evenly. So there we are, we've got 2 chains exactly the same length with 2 broken links there, and it's important that you break the links on the welded side, because if you break it on the other side and then try and twist them, the weld just snaps. So they're quite reasonably flexible on the if you just break the weld. So there we have it. It's quite simple, looks great when they're working. I think they look fabulous for something that's just a bit of old fence post. You could even get a bit of branch off a tree that was reasonably straight, doesn't have to be completely straight at all, and do it with anything like that. This vice gadget is handy, but you don't have to have one like that. Everything's just available from the internet, i.e. the strip light, the LED strip light, and the chains I just got from the builder's merchant, but I'm sure they're the thin chains available. I'll just measure the chain for you. It's the links are 1 centimetre, 10 mil. So it's just, but heavier chain would work, thinner chain as long as it was strong enough, and the wire here, what I do is thread it through the chain links, and then it goes up. I have 2 hooks in the ceiling, and then tuck the wire out of the way to your battery, or in a house to a transformer. But no, for something so simple, cheap. I think the LED strip lights are something like £6, and the chain was only £3 or £4. And the fence post, you can get them. You can pick a branch up for free, or you can get a whole 8-foot length fence post. I think they're about £6, something like that. So yeah, for I don't know, £12, you've got a lamp, a light, an uplighter that looks really, really great. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time. Hope you found it interesting. You don't need a router for making the that groove. You could just use a chisel. It'll take longer, but you know. And the only thing you need is the electric drill really for making the hole through. Okay, thank you very much.